Happy New Year, and thank you very much for being here. I'm Florian, and I run the website Life Science Mentor. And today I am talking about 10 ways to make a conversation with a mentor happen. 10 ways to get a mentor. Especially if you think about it, ways to get the mentor you want to get advice from to meet you actually for coffee. If you go to a conference and then you meet the scientist or businessman that you want to have advice from, and just ask that person cold, and he doesn't really know you, it doesn't work as well. And you may even damage yourself more in the process. Although that depends also a little bit on how you approach him. But the fact is, big business people, big scientists, like big shots, you want to get to mentor you, or even, even like anyone who you want to meet for a coffee, usually all of us are busy. And if you are speaking on a conference, you are normally a very busy person. So if somebody comes to you as a busy person and somebody comes to you and just asks you for a coffee, you don't know that person. Why would you give him a coffee, right? Why would you give him the opportunity to meet you for a coffee? So just without providing any value, it might work in 1 out of 1,000 cases, but what is more likely to happen is that, maybe you annoy the guy you want to mentor you, or the woman you want to mentor you. And there's also, even if that person says yes to just have a coffee with you out of the blue, because you managed to make a nice compliment or something like that, and you just happen to have some time at his hands, what do you want to talk about? You don't even know, you're not even prepared to think about what you want to ask, and you forego a big chance. So meeting someone can actually boost your success a lot in business, in science, in your career, wherever you are. But as any like overnight success event happens, it has years of preparation before. So even meeting a mentor has years of preparation. And so I was thinking about 10 ways that you can do this preparation. And I have a little bit experience myself. I've been 20 years in science. I studied biochemistry in Germany. I started very small, and I did my PhD thesis in Germany in biology, and in a lab of Carl Philipp Heisenberg, who was founding a new group back then, and he had worked with Nobel Prize winner Christian Nüsslein-Vollard in his PhD thesis. So that sort of gave me like a little bit of an entryway into meeting one of these big shots later on, and that actually succeeded. I did my postdoc for 3 years in the lab of Dr. Eric Wieschaus in Princeton, and normally you wouldn't really get into that lab just by asking, because if you have a big lab, and the same will be true if you have a big business person, you have tons of requests. It's impossible to keep track of them. And so if somebody else introduces someone to a student of his, then you're more inclined to pay attention, because now you know you can talk to that person, and that person is trustworthy because somebody trusts that person. It's social proof, right? So basically, you have to make your way gradually in if you want to meet a mentor. And certainly Eric Wieschaus would qualify as someone who is a mentor for many people. And I had the privilege and also luck to work with him for 3 years. So actually, these are 10 things I've thought about what you could do. So, and that should be true for any mentor that you want to meet. So first of all, you want to read all his books and all his websites and all his products that he brought out. It almost goes without saying, but many people don't do that. You want to know about your mentor. Why else would you be interested in meeting, right? Some people just think, and I was tempted to do that as well, You think, oh wow, that's a big person, and that knows a lot about about business or about science, about sports, about anything you want to talk about, right? And so we're kind of encouraged nowadays to just seek the quick solution, fast solution. So cool, there's a big shot in science or a big shot in finance. I just go up and quickly ask him. But that's not how it works, because you still have to put in like a lot of work in. Once again, um, you sometimes get, if you have a blog, for example, you sometimes get traffic because somebody recommends you. Um, or you get traffic because you post something outrageous that people latch onto, right? And then a lot of people come to you, in contrast to a trusted source who recommends you. If you just put out like a big controversial article that for some reason gains traction, then a lot of people come when they disagree with that article, or they just come to see, and you don't gain any additional followers from that, really, right? And if you meet somebody who you want to ask a question, a potential mentor, out of the blue, then he may give you attention for that very moment, but it's all gone afterwards if you haven't been able to start to build a connection. And you want to do that by knowing your base. You can't build a connection without a good fundament, and this fundament is knowing everything about that person, at least all the books that person has published, all this, like a lot of speeches that you can find that he has given. Nowadays we have Twitter or Facebook. You can check what people posted on Facebook and Twitter and social media, which is basically like close to normal conversation people are having just online, and you can figure out how that person thinks. So to recap, point one: read all his books and study all his websites. So this has the three positive effects here. Yeah, first of all, you need to know about your mentor. Where else would you be interested in meeting? And then also, you will be able to answer a lot of your initial questions already, right? What a waste if you just had a question, ask somebody, and then later on realize, man, he answered this question in that book already. You could have asked a different question, right? So number two, you will be able to ask a much more specific question or even a new question, right? And point C, you will see how this mentor ticks. You will get the best idea how to meet to begin with. Like, for example, if that person always talks in his book, a side note, how he met this and that person for coffee, how this and that person meet, then meeting for coffee is a good way to go. But maybe somebody just mentions how he's always so busy and he rarely gets people to meet through coffee, but he rather prefers to answer reader comments on the fly while he's traveling between meetings. Then that actually may be a way for you to get your mentor for a coffee, right? So figure out how that person ticks and how what he prefers or what she prefers to do, and approach him on the right foot later on. Number two is execute on his or her advice. That goes double when the person told you, gave you advice, then you have to execute on that and then give a report back. Or you just read an interesting book of that person that you want to meet, and then you talk about how you implemented the advice from that book. Good way is like something similar to this here, a YouTube channel or a blog, where you talk about that you read like this suggestion to get more sleep in that book of your favorite mentor, and then you write about on your blog what happened after 30 days after following that advice to drink a tea before you fall asleep. And then you can say, well, after 30 days it indeed helped me a little bit. I also found if you add some honey into the tea, just to stay with that example, I can even sleep much better. Right. And then you point the mentor, or the one who you want to meet, you send him a link to your article and say, hey, I tried your advice and this is what I found. It helped me. And if you actually add some honey into the tea, you can actually sleep much better. Isn't that a great base to form a connection? You executed on his or her advice without this person even knowing you, and then maybe even improved a little bit on what you learned. And once again, this is really even more than just building a connection. You know, you will evolve in your questions that you have. You learn something about, you start something, a new business, and you want to learn as much as possible. But then you just read the books of that mentor, put the groundwork down, and then you're at a point where you can also already start giving that person you want to meet as a mentor. You can also give that person some advice or talk from your own experience. And that opens up a whole conversation rather than you coming and wanting to get advice from that person. You have to give value first, and executing on a mentor's advice is one of the best ways to get his to give value, right? Number 3, look for a need your mentor may have. You know, maybe you see that his website needs an upgrade, or maybe you know about web design, and you see that the website of your potential mentor could get a design upgrade, right? Then you just offer to give that person some design upgrade. There was a great article on Danger and Play where Mike Cernovich talked about how Victor Pride gave him some extra advice to grow his traffic. And while Mike Cernovich and Victor Pride are probably both on like the same level, still, Victor provided value by giving advice directly to Mike, and then of course Mike then in turn, that connection, like I can only imagine that connection solidified because it helped Mike, right? So that's one way. And speaking of Mike Cernovich, he also had a website or like an article on his blog about some services he was looking for, like back in 2014 for his blog. I included the address on the article to this video, just as an example. Sometimes people directly tell you what they need, and then you can just execute on that. That of course that feeds back into my first advice, right? Read all his books and all his websites. I really think that advice number 1 comes back so many times. Is the very base if you want to interact with another person, even, like let alone with a mentor, right? And you can basically solve almost all your questions already by just doing your background research. So something that is severely underrated, background research. And to go on a small tangent, when I say background research, I don't mean like reading 3 articles that a person wrote. Not even reading 3 books that a person wrote. No, I mean read everything. If you want to start a blog and you want to get connections to other people, you want to know how your blog shapes up to other blogs in your niche, you don't read like 2 or 3 other blogs you somehow stumbled upon. You go on Reddit and you scour through, and you go to Google and you go to Reddit and you go to Facebook and Twitter, and you pick up each 200 other websites, Facebook pages, and so on that are in your niche, right? Then you really know a lot about the background and where you fit into that niche. And the same way, I just advocated to read like about like 200 other websites or books from your niche. Read everything from the person you want to get mentoring from. That's very, very base. Then number 4, you can ask other people your mentor already taught. Therefore, with my first example with my PhD thesis followed by my postdoc, Tim Ferriss said in one of his podcasts that if a blog has 1 million visitors per year, right, that is like a newspaper. The owner who runs the blog is like a newspaper owner like, owner of a big newspaper. Some blogs have, some websites have more than 1 million visitors, have hundreds of millions of visitors in a year. So if your mentor runs one of these websites, why would you treat that person differently than anyone who runs a big newspaper? If you want to get attention of the editor of the Washington Post, you don't send out a letter or an email to that person and just hope that he receives your email, right? You make a concerted effort to meet the person, but somehow we still think, and that's a great thing, that online everyone is available, and so we can just ask somebody, and that's not how it works with big blogs. You need to put in the work and to get to know someone. But that leads me to the next point. You connect to people that are already on the list of the big person you want to connect to, right? Like, a big person has a blog, and sometimes he has, for example, links that he recommends, or other websites he recommends. You look at those websites, and you look at the websites that have also, just maybe just 1,000 visitors, like you have right now when you start, or have like 10,000 or something in your range, right? People that the authority blog recommends are possibly people that the authority blog owner knows in person, right? You connect to them, and besides, you get great connection with those people already that are more on your level. Then that's an additional win for you, right? But so you wanna basically climb smaller steps. So, like, just to repeat about my when I finished biochemistry, I joined Carl Philipp in Dresden for doing a PhD, and then I joined Eric Wieschaus in Princeton. So Carl Philipp knew Eric, and that's how I got in there. And I don't think I could have just walked up to Princeton University and said, hey, I want to get in. That's not how it works, right? Or maybe it works 1 in 10,000 cases, but it's easier to get a personal referral, right? That's basically social proof. And in fact, I have to say, lots of the websites that I found, I often found them through somebody making the recommendation from a blog or a group where I was a member, right? Okay, number 5, create buzz. Don't find the mentor, let him find you. And that's also a long-term strategy. Get on the radars of many people in his niche as possible. Provide excellent content. Do great deals with them. Establish your name in the field. And next time you're at a conference, your coveted mentor will more likely agree to meet with you for coffee because other people have already told him about what you did, and he has already seen that you contribute value to the field. I really believe that if you want to meet a mentor, as any meeting with a person, you really should strive to make that meeting as equal as possible, and either by providing a ton of value before, or finding something where you can be just normal, just human about, right? I believe you can't connect if you are down here and that person's up there, or you are up here, that person is down there. You need to provide value. You need to be on the same level, and that's what you do when you just work on your website or on your business and just get some initial traction in the niche you wanna provide value for, right? Because that's what you want to do. You provide value, right? And then after a while, you've provided so much value that other people take notice of you, higher up people, right? That's how it goes. And then number 6, look at the person. So, we are all humans. And let's say there was a talk of an important scientist, and he would give this talk, and then he would show a picture. I'm inventing this now. Maybe lots of scientists would show a picture in the end, maybe where they're with their family. Maybe one of these pictures is a dog with the family that the scientist chose. Perfect. So after you gave a talk, you come up to the person and you tell them that you also have a dog, and that you found that the dog really loves when you throw when you throw a ball far away and then give him a treat afterwards. I mean, yeah, every dog will love that, but come up with something specific. If we find some detail that you can connect with, maybe you have a dog as well. That person's a dog lover. Great. Now you have something to talk about besides science, and then you appear as someone who's on the same level on human terms, and he thinks, and you probably also are. I mean, you rather make a friend than meeting a mentor for coffee. Maybe that's an even better description of number 6 here. Look at the person, try to make a friend. Don't try to ask a mentor for advice. Try to make a friend. Make a friend connection. And treat that person like any other person you want to befriend. And, because in the end, if you get to the position where you are at a conference and you can ask this mentor for coffee, chances are you already are somewhat on that level. I mean, not everyone goes to a business conference or scientific conference if he doesn't have at least some merits already to show, right? So on some level you are already, I mean, he knows already you're on the conference or you work in the institute where he gives a talk. He knows that you're probably smart enough to be here or have done enough in business to be here, right? So now what it comes down to is to show that you can get along with him, right? Just see him as a friend you want to contact, and maybe this is a cool guy, and he can become a lifelong friend. Why not? This philosophy, try to make a friend, always has served me best. I have to say, if I meet a person, I never try to praise the person overwhelmingly, right? Because that's always a little bit fake, right? I come well prepared, and I try to find a way to connect beside science or beside business, right? I try to find a point to connect on a human level. And maybe that sounds like voodoo, woo-woo, mambo jumbo, but it's essentially not. It's how we work as humans. The only weird thing maybe is that you try to become a friend with an ulterior motive of getting advice, but maybe you don't even need that. Maybe you just go there and try to get the person as a friend. That's all. Don't be a tryhard. Just come, ask, be cool with the person. That person could be nervous at meeting you as well, right? So just be friendly, be outgoing, look him into the eyes or her, and just see where it goes. I believe that philosophy will never leave you unhappy afterwards, because even if he doesn't have time to meet for coffee, you exchange some friendly words, and isn't that great already? I think that's really good already, right? So number 7 is be relentless. You might have to try quite a bit to get him or her to agree to meet with you. Now there are all these stories where somebody didn't let go and would send somebody he wanted to make a deal with would send him flowers every day until the person said, "Man, I can't have all these flowers in my office. I'll give a talk for you. I'll come down to your conference and give a talk." I got that from Think Big and Kick Ass from Donald Trump and Bill Zanker, his co-author, and Bill Zanker was running this learning annex and or still, and he wanted to get a specific speaker. I think it was the CEO from Zaros. Oh, I forgot. It's an important. It's a Jewish deli in New York. Zabar's. That's it. Zabar's, and he wanted to get the owner of Zabar's to come speak at his learning annex, and this guy wouldn't come. Would always say no. So he sent him flowers, $100 worth of flowers. So he really made it very strong. Every day in his office until and $100 gets you a lot of flowers. So, some point the guy called back and said, "Look, I need $200 worth of flowers. So he really made it very strong. Every day in his office until and $100 gets you a lot of flowers. So, some point the guy called back and said, "Look, I need $200 worth of flowers. So he really made it very strong. Every day in his office until and $100 gets you a lot of flowers. So some point the guy called back and said, "Look, My office is just bursting with flowers. Please stop sending me flowers. I'll come and come and speech at your give a talk at your conference. And I'm not saying be like that relentless if you want somebody as a mentor. Use your use your use your fine tuning and what feels good, but at least stay on the radar of that person. Like write an email once a week or comment every time on the new blog articles out by the guy, or actually recommend the guy to other people, and you'd be surprised how much word gets around, right? So yeah, be relentless. Don't give up if you don't get a positive answer yet. Just try a little longer. Maybe you didn't get a positive answer yet, and when you asked for a cup of coffee, your prospective mentor in the first place because he didn't see what value you had already provided. So go back to the drawing board, provide more value, stay in contact, and then at one point you can meet him for coffee. Number 8, become their go-to person at meetings. So when there's a conference and the coveted mentor you want to reach is speaking on that conference, lots of conferences seek volunteers who actually pick the speakers up from the hotel, bring them to the conference location. And you volunteer for that. You know that conference that speaker is, you volunteer for that, and then you have 5 minutes in the morning to walk the person over to his seminar room. Isn't that a great opportunity? And it's basically for free. And you get to volunteer, which is something nice as well. You get exposed to many other business people. There are scientists on the conference as well, in a very personal level. And then be observant, because sometimes maybe they forgot the key. They're nervous in front of their talk, so maybe they forgot their key card. So maybe you can just say, don't worry, I'll get your key card back. Just deliver him in the conference room, go back to the reception, get his key card, and then go back picking up from the talk, give him his key card. Just one example, right? Or the person is thirsty, so so get him a bottle of water, and the next day you meet him, bring him to another talk, you have that bottle of water ready, right? Be observant, and this is ideal because you can really see how the person really ticks, how he goes by his daily life. You pick a speaker up for a seminar or to bring to a conference. Those people are occupied with all kind of different thoughts. How to run their business while they have their conference, how to run their lab while they're on the scientific meeting. If their computer has enough battery power still for the talk, if they really have their memory stick. Didn't they have that at home? And thank God, here it is. Things like that. I believe at that point you really get a very, very good opportunity to see how that person really ticks under stress. And you get a lot of opportunities to help. Because people are just nervous before they give a talk. Or before they meet other people at the conference. So that's a great way to meet, to provide value to your mentor. And then maybe he remembers you after a while and you can ask him for coffee. Or maybe while he's waiting, here's the thing. Maybe while this guy is waiting in between conference and doesn't really have anything to do, you can just say, while we are waiting here, Mr. So-and-so, let me just get you a coffee from the reception. And you come back with a coffee, and there are your 5 minutes between talks you have with a person to ask your question, get advice from him. Without asking him for meeting you with coffee. Just by jumping in on the opportunity, right? So be a little creative, and you find ways to meet the person you want to see as a mentor. Number 9, and I'm frequently coming back to the point for anything that has to do with human, because it's that important, I believe, then. Find the right love language. So everyone expresses his appreciation in different ways. Some people like to touch a lot. You know those people that like pat you on the back, often shake hands. Like Bill Clinton had this handshake where he would just grab you, like I saw like on the I think it was True Colors, that movie about the Clinton campaign in 1994, or 1992 actually, where he said that basically Bill Clinton would hug your arm, would not give you a handshake, he would hug your complete arm when he liked you. And so some people are very forthcoming with giving physical contact, and they need that. Other people will give you quality time. They will just reserve time to talk to you, and they will just be so happy to spend time talking to you or talking to anyone. So they give you quality time. Third category thrives on giving and receiving praise. And they are happy when people say, I really like what you do. They're happy when people admire them. And number 4 is they value acts of service. So if they have forgotten some keys, or if they have to still, like coming back to the example with the speaker at the conference, he already goes over there halfway, he realizes, oh, for fuck's sake, I forgot the memory stick and my talk is in half an hour, but now I just, he may not even say that, but he's on his way to a conference, his talk is due in 1 hour, and you say, don't worry, I'll fetch the memory stick for you and I get everything done. So some people value acts of service that you could do. And so gifts, like category number 5 is gifts. Some people express their appreciation through giving gifts, and they like receiving gifts. And you need to know that, which you know by reading about the person, as suggested number 1. And you get a little bit, and you figure out a little bit how your mentor ticks. And then you know how to approach him. If he thrives on praise, you will do well and also praise him, right? And if he values acts of service, then see how you can do something useful for him. Just a small gesture is already good, right? Like for example, when he sits there and this pen falls down, you go and pick up the pen. Okay, so know what that person's love language is, so you can approach the person in the best way possible. And number 10, it needs to be said, be brief and respectful of their time and status. When you meet your prospective mentor, you may be inclined to really milk the situation. Don't. Talk about a question or two. It's far more valuable to build a connection over one question, be respectful of his time. He'll remember you, or she'll remember you, and then you can come back with bigger questions in the future. That's much better than trying to overwhelm the person with like asking as much as possible in as short amount of time as possible. Those are my 10 tips. And I hope they're useful for you. Let me know if you have some additional ideas. I appreciate each and every comment, and I answer each and every comment, either on YouTube here or on this or on my blog. If you want to tweet about it, give me a comment via Twitter. I'm fairly active on Twitter. I'll be responding to you for sure. And Facebook the same. Although Facebook always has this weird 10% targeting. It's not always easy to connect via Facebook rather than via Twitter. But that being said, I appreciate you being here. Happy New Year once again. And I'm looking forward to see you again tomorrow. And have a great first week of the year. Bye.